So Gavin Mcinnes has been totally and utterly DePlatformed. It seems like every Monday for the past 6 weeks, Proud Boys or Gavin Mcinnes has gone viral and made the news in one way or the other. It seems like twice, 3 times a week, there's some story, mostly false usually, about the Proud Boys, whether it's the FBI has them on this secret extremist list, which apparently doesn't exist, and Proud Boys never were on that list, or Gavin Mcinnes denied entry to Australia because he's such a radical extremist, or what have you. Well, the big news today is that Gavin Mcinnes has officially been kicked off of YouTube. Now, he's already been kicked off of Facebook. He's already been kicked off of Twitter. He's already been kicked off of Instagram. And he was just fired from Blaze TV. There's a merger between Glenn Beck's The Blaze and CRTV. I've texted him about it. Haven't gotten into it. Feels like it's the wrong time to really get the gossip out of the poor guy. He's going through a lot. But here's my question. Gavin Mcinnes has been completely deplatformed. This is the question you should be asking yourself. Why? 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 Of all the people, why? Why is Gavin such a dangerous social pariah that he can't put up a YouTube video? Why? Why is Gavin such an evil monster that he can't tweet? Is there a specific tweet you could point to that says, you know, something Gavin said, I don't know, whether it's like calling for somebody's death or something that's incredibly unreasonably racist or something like that? No. Is it something, you know, what was he saying on his show on CRTV where he wasn't even cursing or anything like that? He was mostly telling stories. He was mostly like just giving his kind of in-depth perspective on things. Why? Why? And by the way, this is something I want everyone to do. Look at who is still left on all these platforms. Now, we'll get back to that. So the first thing people say with why is they'll say, he's racist. Okay. And then they'll point to a bunch of like chopped up, totally out of context videos of him saying like the N-word or him saying like, something that sounds like vaguely anti-gay or something in just like little clippy segment. Totally taken out of context. Now, could it possibly be that the stuff that he has on YouTube, could it possibly be that the stuff that he's putting out there for the public to see in the entire context seems a lot more reasonable than what they put in these little hit piece videos that they make on guys like Gavin, right? And specifically Gavin. So could it be that he's racist? Well, he's done a magnitude of videos across platforms, from Compound to Rebel to CRTV to stuff on his own to interviews that he's done on podcasts, on the Australia SBS documentary that we were part of. He's explained, no, of course he's not racist. He thinks all the races are equal, and he judges people on their individual merit, and he's not going to give people special treatment because of their race. He's not going to victimize people because of their race. And he's not going to give an entire race credit for anything either. That's pretty much more or less his position without speaking for him. But from what you could gather in all the videos that he puts out, in the tweets, in the Facebook posts that are no longer allowed, that's his position. So, okay, he's explained that. Okay, so never mind. Well, why did he get kicked off of Twitter and Facebook and all? Oh, because the Proud Boys. And why? What's so wrong with the Proud Boys? Oh, it's because of the violent nature of the Proud Boys and the violent nature of Gavin saying things like, you know, fighting solves everything, and saying things like we have to get out there and fight and all this other stuff. And if they hit us, we have to hit back and all this other stuff. Well, once again, if you look at everything he's saying and remove the hyperbole, and remove the sarcasm and remove the context of he is always talking about it in the context when he is talking about like fighting, self-defense, or stand up for yourself, or don't let these people go out in the streets and beat on us with bike locks, pepper spray us. By the way, Gavin Mcinnes was pepper sprayed walking into NYU last February, I believe. So if you take all that away, okay, so that's the Proud Boys. That's what Gavin said. Is it really violent? Because I would ask the question, compared to what? Compared to who? Compared to people like Peter Fonda? Compared to people like Sarah Silverman, who, you know, ask for things like a military coup of a democratically elected president? Compared to Antifa, who describes themselves as a militant organization who's trying to get peace through violence, right? That's not me saying that about Antifa. That's Antifa saying that about themselves. They're all over YouTube. They're all over Facebook. They're all over Twitter. How about compared to Hamas? How about compared to, especially going back to the racism argument, the anti-Semitism of things like, of organizations like Hamas or CARE or the Muslim Brotherhood or Muslims of America? Has there been any in-depth YouTube investigation into these groups? No, of course not. Okay, now am I saying these groups need to be removed? Absolutely not. I don't give a shit. You could be the most radicalized commie group in the world, and I want to hear what you have to say. Because I'm a big believer in know your enemy, know your arguments, know who you're talking to. There seems to be only one side of this equation that it's almost as if you watch Gavin Mcinnes' videos, he seems like a reasonable guy. He seems like a funny guy. Gavin Mcinnes is a guy who I look up to his work, and he's a friend of mine. And the funny thing about it to me is, like, if I want to buy like new boots, right, or a new blazer, he's like one of the guys who I'll text him a picture of the boots and be like, what do you think of these boots? Do you think they suck? Or these are all right, right? And he'll give me comments on that. So in my mind, it's like literally the guy who I talk about, like, what boots should I wear? Like, are these practical? Do these go good with a suit? Are these more casual boots? Should I wear these or these? That guy can't be on YouTube? And once again, man, he's been maligned every which way. And he put up videos saying, hey, I'm resigning from the Proud Boys, and here's why. And let me, while I do this, defend the guys and explain my reasons and go into it in depth, go through every incident by incident and comment on it as I go through this video. That was like the latest huge video that he posted about himself, right? Well, that's gone. Why and who wouldn't want you to see that? What's in that video that's so problematic? Is he calling upon his resignation the death of everyone and to let the Nazis come in? No, he actually renounces them repeatedly, and once again says, I'm not a Nazi. Proud Boys aren't Nazis. I don't know why you're calling us Nazis. Oh, and furthermore, we're going to sue everyone for calling us Nazis. And at this point, YouTube is just compounding the damages. Because now he could demonstrate, like, hey, look, even YouTube deplatformed me. Every social media platform deplatformed me. Oh, plus my employers at Blaze TV now. And who knows what the details behind the scenes of that are. But they deplatformed me. They pushed him out. And he was one of the most popular people there. And that's the thing that blows my mind. Whether it's Gavin, whether it's Milo or Tommy Robinson or any number of people, Steven Crowder, Ann Coulter, they fill rooms. You know, if they go on like a speaking engagement, people show up. It's not like a Hillary Clinton event where they have to go on Groupon to get rid of the extra seats. They fill theaters up. They fill college auditoriums up. If Gavin and Milo and, I don't know, pick somebody, Ann Coulter, went on a tour together and said, hey, we're going to do a 20-city speaking tour, I guarantee you it would be sold out or close to sold out in every city they went into. So there's a free market for this. People obviously want to see it. If you look at Gavin's videos, not just like thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of views. When he was on Compound Media, I mean, he started the Proud Boys, and that is comparatively a relatively small platform. It's behind a paywall, first of all. And it has, I would say a few tens of thousands of subscribers, but in the grand scheme of things, not everyone who subscribes watches Gavin, and, not everybody who subscribes watches Kumia, not everybody who subscribes watches Pat Dixon. It's not like everyone who subscribes watches everything collectively, but he turned that platform into a thing where tens of thousands of Proud Boys around the world joined and started local chapters because there's something in the air about what he said. And what is he saying when he was talking about things like the Proud Boys? He was saying things like, we have to stand up for free speech and celebrate free speech. We have to celebrate rights. We should have more rights, not less rights. We have to celebrate things like the nuclear family and venerate the housewife and venerate the working man and the working husband and have kids. And, that's all part of the experience of being on Earth. To me, that doesn't sound too crazy controversial. He was also telling guys, in the context of like the no wanks thing, which people always dwell on, it sounds kind of silly. But basically, he was saying, stop jerking off to porn, get out and meet some girls. And if you're married, stop jerking off to porn and fuck your wife and have a happier marriage. Is this the ramblings of a mad syphilitic brain? Now, once again, let's get back to what I said earlier. Who's left? Who's allowed on YouTube? Who's allowed? Well, I've mentioned things like every Antifa page. I've mentioned Hamas. I've mentioned, ISIS, I believe, has Twitter accounts that they look at and whatnot. They'll tweet, we take responsibility. And you go, did ISIS just tweet that they take responsibility? Isn't North Korea allowed on Twitter? But Gavin Mcinnes, no, he doesn't tweet. The Kim Jong-un, who has basically enslaved half his people in his country, or actually 100% of his people in his country, he's allowed on Twitter. Gavin Mcinnes, too hot for Twitter. Okay. Once again, what did he do that was so dangerous, and who else is left? Oh, let me think. Let me think of who else is left on Twitter. Oh, yeah. Richard Spencer, which brings me to Charlottesville. Richard Spencer, David Duke, and Jason Kessler were all participants in Charlottesville. You know who was not a participant in Charlottesville? Gavin Mcinnes. Yet every article about Gavin Mcinnes tries to shoehorn the Charlottesville thing in there as if they're related. As if Gavin was there or in the shadows. They use, once again, things that they really, doesn't even look bad if you really think about it, but they shoehorn it into an article out of context where they say things like, Gavin Mcinnes said, if you want to go to Charlottesville, go. Yeah, and he sandwiched that into, I'm not going to be there. I don't encourage you to be there unless, if you want to go, it's free speech, free country, do what you want. But if you want to be part of the Proud Boys, you might find yourself thrown out of the Proud Boys if you go to something like that. That doesn't sound like a guy really giving a ringing endorsement to Charlottesville, yet they sandwich it and smash it into every single article and fucking cram it into every single thing written, every piece, down to when I was on RT, on I guess RT Britain or whatever, RT Europe. When I did a debate with the Code Pink guy, I didn't know that they were going to bring up Charlottesville. They were talking about Proud Boys got kicked off of Twitter. We want to know what you think and debate this guy on TV. I said, yeah, sure, okay, whatever you guys want. And I got up there, and the first thing they said was, do you think this is because Unite the Right 2 is happening and they're trying to block you guys from promoting Unite the Right 2? And I had to firstly just concisely say, well, we weren't at the first Unite the Right. We're not going to be at the second Unite the Right. And one of the last tweets that Gavin sent out was denouncing Unite the Right, and all the other Proud Boy accounts did the same thing. So is it the Unite the Right thing? Well, if it was the Unite the Right thing, can I please ask why Kessler and Spencer and David Duke are still allowed to do whatever they want on all these different platforms? Richard Spencer is doing a live stream every day. He's putting out more tapes than Tupac. And he's fucking talking to his heart's content. He's talking about and commenting on the Proud Boys constantly now. But Gavin Mcinnes isn't allowed to comment on the Proud Boys. Why not? Is it because when Gavin talks about the Proud Boys, it almost sounds reasonable? It doesn't sound like all the horseshit that they cram into The Guardian. So once again, the question is why? Why is Gavin booted from all these things, of all people? Why? Why him and not somebody else? And that is the thing that they will get to, trust me. Because if it's Gavin today, Well, Milo's still allowed to live stream on YouTube for now, but is it going to be Milo tomorrow? And the question that's even weirder is, why are they leaving all the alt-right guys? Like, if Gavin is so dangerous because they think he might be secret conspiracy alt-right guy, like he's pretending to be alt-right, he puts on his fake mustache and gets up there and goes, I'm not alt-right, and then he takes it off and goes, but I am, and the JQ, and ha ha ha. There's a YouTube world out there filled with people talking about the JQ. There's a YouTube world out there with guys, shit piles like Augustus Invictus, people like Baked Alaska, people like Spencer himself, all talking about the JQ nonsensically, and just, once again, you want to see ramblings of a syphilitic brain. They just think they're so precocious and cheeky and cute, and they go on and on and on about, like, oh, are the Jews globalists? And they think they sound super duper smart because they're repeating a bunch of horse shit they read on the dark web, and they're still allowed to pontificate and sound like crazy people, and then turn around and go, and by the way, we're the right, we voted for Trump, haha. So why are all the guys who are the actual movers and shakers getting deplatformed? I mean, Crowder complains constantly about being demonetized, and he's as moderate for the most part as you could get, really reasonable type guy. But you got Milo, who's been booted off of, Twitter, obviously, is the big one. And now he's been booted off of, here's the weird thing, because, I do some work for Milo on dangerous.com, among other things. He's been booted off of, like, all the financial stuff. He's been booted off of, like, PayPal and Venmo. He's been booted off of Patreon. He started a Patreon, and less than a week later, Patreon sent him a thing saying, you're not on Patreon anymore because hate. Or because of your affiliation with the Proud Boys, or your affiliation with this or that. And it's just striking to me that this is what they're doing to set up for 2020. And that sounds like crazy conspiracy shit, but I think that they kind of know what side of the bread that the butter they need to scrape off is on. It's not the alt-right side. The alt-right doesn't convince anyone. They really don't. Richard Spencer didn't get Trump a single vote. He really didn't. Neither did David Duke or the Klan. It's not like the Klan was out campaigning and a bunch of reasonable people looked and went, oh, the Klan says vote Trump. Got it. So I don't believe that the alt-right guys whatsoever got Trump a single vote in 2016. But look who did. The Breitbarts of the world, the Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Gavin Mcinneses of the world, Milo Yiannopoulos, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. Even though some of these guys were like never Trumpers, like Ben still made an argument that was convincingly enough against Hillary that people were like, well, I'm not going to fucking vote for Hillary. And, that was beneficial too. People like Dinesh D'Souza. Right around the time of the election, I was actually personally reading a lot of like Thomas Sowell. I was reading, I think I read like one Mike Cernovich book, maybe two of them. I forget which ones that he has out. But it's like, and I'm not like even a huge Mike Cernovich guy, but he was more beneficial to like the new right and the rise of the new right than a guy like Jason Kessler. Who? Some like weird YouTuber 4chan guy who said, hey, I'm going to start this like tongue-in-cheek snarky little like, we're uniting the right. And when we say unite, we mean we're the Klan. Wonderful. Great job, Kessler. Bravo. You did an amazing job. You really united everybody together. And you united us in making us all look like shit by you trying to associate yourself with us. We never tried to associate ourselves with you. But that isn't going to stop the lying, bullshit liberal press from being like, look, this guy wants to be associated with the Proud Boys. He showed up at Proud Boy meetings to try and recruit people. It didn't work. They didn't go and say, we're following Kessler. And nobody did that. But that doesn't matter. They're just going to report, he was there. There must be a connection. They must all be loving and hugging each other, even though it's not fucking true. So that's the thing. Who's going to be next and why? And if they're doing this with Gavin right now, and the most disturbing thing is I'm not seeing a lot of people really go to bat hard for Gavin. You know, Cumia went to bat for him somewhat on Joe Rogan, and Rogan stuck up for Gavin as well. Rogan's a reasonable guy. He's not even like a Mr. Politics type guy. He's not a conservative. I would never say Joe Rogan's a conservative. If anything, he's libertarian, liberal-leaning-esque, but he's not really beholden to any, like, one view like that. He's more of a guy who just kind of asks a lot of questions and is curious, which I appreciate about the guy. He went to bat because he knows Gavin. He's like, wait, this is kind of insane that they're calling him this, you know, this dude, and maybe things got out of control with whatever, but he's, you know, he's not everything that they're calling him. Not that you'd know it if you read any of the articles written in the last 6 weeks. And the funny thing is, so tech companies like YouTube, and who's owned by Google and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, take those articles written by some 22-year-old who's just has a hard-on for anything right-wing, anything not totally communist, basically. If you speak out reasonably against socialists, and if you do it with humor, and at the end of the day, that's the answer. Spoiler alert. The answer of why is Gavin's funny. Gavin's relatable. Gavin makes people want to listen to him more because he's basically doing stand-up comedy that makes sense, a la, you know, bad comparison, but like George Carlin. Well, it's not a bad comparison. It's an accurate, they're two sides of a different coin. I'm a huge George Carlin fan, but it's like, yeah, Gavin will take a thing that you'll go, I never looked at it that way, and at the end of the day, you're giggling to yourself going, that kind of fucking makes sense. Holy shit, that's at face value, sometimes the premise sounds a little crazy, and then he'll suck you in and logic you to death with it, and you go like, holy fuck, this guy's actually making a lot of fucking sense. You know, at the end of the day, I think that's why. I think the reason why is it's a bunch of miserable people who want to get rid of a guy who's funnier than they are, who's more successful than they are. That, you know, one of his not, I'm not going to call it his first, but his first big push out into the public world, outside of like music and stuff like that, became Vice. Then when he was boxed out of Vice, he went, oh, okay, well, I'll go and do something else. And he started up a bunch of startups and businesses and whatnot. He started writing books. He started being more of a humorist, joined Compound Media, and then started the Proud Boys, which became this groundswell. And I think they know this guy is fucking dangerous as shit to us and to the Democratic Party in 2020. And once again, it's like, don't let them malign innocent people. The reason why people like me never went, oh, I'm quitting the Proud Boys now, I'm leaving, oh my God, is because you can't let crazy people make the rules. You can't let crazy people make the rules. And if something's based on a lie, and I know Gavin, I know the Proud Boys, I've been to the meetups and everything like that, I've never seen any racism. I've never seen any, like, when we're here to kill commies or anything like that. I've never seen it. But then I read about what I just attended, and I'm told that that's what it's all about. And I'm like, well, there's no evidence from the people I know who are all about that. Why would I believe some 23-year-old intern who was an intern 6 months ago who's now writing for the Gothamist? Why would I believe them over my own eyes and my own experiences and the people I know just because you're telling me shitty things? Look, I have a link, or I have an out of context quote, and I have this, and if you smash all them together, it makes them look really bad. And it's like, yeah, or you could smash a bunch of clips together and make them look really good. And I'm going to end on this because this is the disturbing thing. And listen, I would never expect a liberal to like me or to like my point of view. Well, to like me even, because here's the thing. I don't give a fuck what your politics are. I could be friends with anyone regardless of their politics. If you're curious and you want to have like a stimulating conversation, I'll have a fucking cup of coffee with anybody, right? But I don't expect them to like me because I know what their worldview is, you know? There are some people who are reachable and there are some people who aren't. I presume that if you write for the Gothamist, you're unreachable. If you write for Daily Beast or Think Progress, you are already gone. Big Brother has his hooks in you, and you are a party member, and that is fucking that. But here's the disturbing thing. every time in the past month and a half, 2 months, whatever, that something's gone down with the Proud Boys, and we've been deplatformed, or Gavin's been fired, or deplatformed, or denied a visa, or, all these things happened in the last 2 months. Not one leftist publication said, this is kind of insane, isn't it, guys? Like, has there been one writer? And it's funny because, like, what's the guy's name? Alan Edge or whatever, the guy at the New York Times who wrote a couple articles. I've talked to him a bunch. Last time I talked to him, I texted him, basically was like, we're not talking anymore, because it was getting weird. Like, he had people who were saying that there were people saying they were friends of his going like, Alan laughs at you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who is, okay, you know what? I'm done with this guy. And then I'm reading his articles, and it's just horseshit. He leaves out all the important parts. But when we talk, he goes, yeah, no, I totally get it. No, I get that you guys aren't racist. No, I totally get. And then in the article, he kind of word weasels and shoehorns all this nonsense in. Can one leftist writer, please, for the love of fuck, can one leftist writer please say, yeah, do we really need to kick Gavin off Twitter of all the crazy shit posting that goes on Twitter? Do we really need to get rid of Gavin Mcinnes? I don't agree with the guy. I don't think he's a good person. I think he's a jackass. I think he's ridiculous. But we don't need to boot these people off Twitter. They never do that. They report on it, and they do it with a kind of, oh, he's a asshole and violent, and they say all the things that SPLC says, blah, 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 as if that's a valid fucking source. I mean, the government doesn't even source the SPLC because they're so far gone. But they cite all these things, and then they just put it in going, well, I guess Gavin's gone. Is that a victory for you? Does that make you feel good about yourself? That, some guy who votes your way, who is the CEO of a big tech company, pushed his little fucking button and fucked over somebody who you can't debate? Who, if you were in the same room with him, he would shred you? Is that maybe why you're celebrating it so hard? Because now we don't have to debate him. Now we could just attack. We could write hit pieces and attack pieces, and he has no forum to reconnect. Here's a little secret about Proud Boy magazine, by the way. Every time we're in the paper and all this other shit, we get dozens of interview requests, naturally, and I handle a lot of them, or I'll pass them on to somebody who, pertains to the story, who would be a good source. Dozens, no matter what. If there's like a little spat in a bar, we'll get like 12 media requests from like local outlets, newspapers, college kids, international outlets, whatever. Do you know in the past 2 months, I think I've gotten one media request. We're in all these articles, I don't know, like twice a week for 2 months, and no one wrote into officialproudboys.com, the website, and asked for a media request, because I field the media requests. And I, will give like, hey, what do you want to know? Like, what's your question? I maybe got one, and I think I wrote the guy back, and he never wrote me back. It was like a radio show or something. Any other media request, and when is like podcasts we know that I've been on, or, friends of ours, I don't consider that like a new request. It's not like NBC was doing a piece on us, so hit us up to be like, hey, what are your comments on this? We got none of that. They asked everybody else. They asked the SPLC for comments. They asked every Antifa group and their brother for comments, but they haven't been asking us for comments. And that's basically what they're doing with Gavin right now. They're making it, I think the new strategy going into 2020, look out for this. Part of the deplatforming is we're not asking you for comments anymore. We don't want you doing a rebuttal anymore. We don't want you doing a video where you defend yourself on YouTube. If you're going to do a video, post it on a website, your own website that you can't promote on any social media platform. Much like this video right here. I can't post this on social media. I'm kicked off of Twitter and I'm kicked off of Facebook. And I still don't know why. And when I write them, they just say, you've violated our terms. And it's just like, yeah, what terms? And there's no like hotline where I could call and go, can you read me the post that I posted that's so disgusting that, there was no workaround for it? They can't tell me why I was thrown off social media. Social media, which, by the way, I spent the better part of a decade building, and wasn't just about politics. I've done political journalism and cultural commentary as well, but I've done films, I've done movies, I've done music, I've done just my own little bullshit thoughts on the day and, you know, buying a new pair of boots. I remember years ago, I did a whole thing, a photo thing where I threw out one item a day and took a picture of it. Like, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of elements that made up my social media, but they decided to focus on, oh, we don't like his politics, delete all of it. And don't really give an explanation and give him no recourse for rebuttal. Basically, their citation is, we read The Guardian, and The Guardian says you're an asshole, so you're an asshole. And then, you know, I mean, when the FBI has to actually comment on things like the Proud Boys, it gets a little ridiculous. And not just comment, but kind of defend us and be like, they're not an extremist group. We don't have them on any kind of a list. And furthermore, that there is no category called extremism. The group, like, are you out of your fucking mind? But that's their new thing. So look out for it, because not one, if you notice, and this is why I give them no credit. I wish I could, like, at least look at, like, some liberal stuff and go, well, they're kind of trying to do journalism, but they're not. And I give them no credit whatsoever. Because they're not one of them is even taking a perspective on, do we really need to do this? Is it really necessary to get rid of all their social media? They all snarkily spike the ball and do the end zone dance and celebrate it as this victory that Gavin Mcinnes can't do a rebuttal on you. That you could write all the shitty things you want in the world about him, but he got fired, and YouTube won't let him do a thing, and he can't tweet about it. And it's like, is that how you think you won? Because I'll tell you this much, it's like, you're going to lose hard in 2020. You're going to lose hard if that's all you got, because it means that you're desperate, and we're not.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?